From Seattle, Washington, this is the Budweiser APBA Gold Cup Unlimited Hydroplane Race. Brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. And by the new Walker Advantage Muffler. It puts rust at a disadvantage.
We're in Seattle, Washington, tucked up into the northwestern part of the United States for race number 7 of 1985. Hello, everybody. I'm Don Poyer. Welcome to Seattle. This is the home of unlimited hydroplane racing, where back in 1940, this three-point design boat was originally invented. And today, we're racing for the Gold Cup. It began back in 1904. It's the oldest, most prestigious trophy in motorsports history. This will be the 77th running. And some history can be made today. Chip Hanauer, driver of the Miller American, has won the Gold Cup 3 consecutive years. If he wins today, he'll be the first man in modern history to win it more than 3 consecutive years. Jim Hendrick is down there with Chip Hanauer, the driver, right now. Jim?
Being Chip, it is the Gold Cup. It is your hometown. Is there any added pressure?
Well, I think going for our 4th consecutive Gold Cup, there'd be pressure no matter where we were. But, yeah, being home maybe adds a little bit, but on the other hand, it's more comfortable. You know, I got to stay at home in my own bed, and I have my friends and family around, so that helps.
Speaking of comfort, it looks like it's a little rolly out there.
This is Seattle, and it's always rough here. You know, there's probably 3,000 pleasure boats out there tied up to a log boom, and with that many boats on that big a body of water, it's going to get, moved around.
Man who won here last year in the Seattle Seafarers, Jim Kropfeld of Miss Budweiser, and Don's with him right now.
Jim, you've won here the last 2 years, but you've got a new boat, the new Miss Budweiser, a lot of problems which come with a new boat, yet you've still remained competitive.
Well, we try very hard. We have a good crew. The guys are dedicated to making this boat run. We have a good sponsor, Anheuser-Busch Budweiser, and Bernie's willing to spend whatever it takes to get the job done, which it takes a lot of money on a new boat like this with the safety capsule, et cetera, et cetera. But if we had some more time between races, we could be a lot more competitive than we are, but we can only make some minor changes right now.
Well, regardless, you got a lot of heats today, being the Gold Cup, 3 flights of heat, so good luck. Who knows what could happen?
That's right. If we can just be consistent like some of the other teams and finish all 3 heats, I'm sure we'll make the final.
Okay. Jim Kropfeld, the Budweiser, and now to Jim Hendrick with a rundown of Heat 1A.
Okay, Don, all in all, 10 boats are qualified for the Budweiser APBA Gold Cup here in Seattle, and we have 5 coming out of the starting gate in Heat 1A. Here's the way they line up. George Johnson will be driving Domino's Pizza, the U30. He qualified at 107.094. Out of Madison, Indiana, Todd Yarling checked in with the Cellular One at 114.246. Jim Kropfeld, who won the Seafair Trophy race here a year ago, 119.9 in Miss Budweiser. Tom Deeth in the Square Shop Britannia at 128.8. And the fastest qualifier in this group, the Turbine Miss 711, Steve Reynolds, at 139.633. And that's the way Heat 1A will line up. And how about, Don, how about Heat 1B?
Jim, this is the most boats we have had qualify in 1985. We have 5 boats in each heat. Here's a look at 1B. First of all, qualifying at 111.6 miles per hour, Jerry Hopp out of the Northwest in the Oboy Oberto. Next comes Andy Coker, qualifying at 112.8 miles per hour in the American Speedy Printing. The Miss Rock KISW qualified at 114.5 miles per hour, Mitch Evans, the driver. Scotty Pierce, the national points leader in the Executone Telephones, qualifying at 124.5 miles per hour. And finally, the top qualifier, Chip Hanauer and the Miller American at 140.6 miles per hour. There's all 10 boats. We have 2 heats coming up. This is the 77th running of the Gold Cup. It's here in Seattle. The Unlimited's coming up after this. As the drivers prepare for Heat 1A, this is the beginning of a very long afternoon. They will be racing 6 laps instead of 5 in each heat, and there is an extra flight of heats. That under the Gold Cup rules. So, like I said, a long day ahead. The first drivers to see action today, George Johnson making a return to racing. He drove the Executone Telephones last year. Todd Yarling picked up a 3rd place aboard the Cellular One last week in the Columbia Cup in Tri-Cities, Washington. Jim Kropfeld in the Miss Budweiser, a winner in Syracuse in 1985. Tom Deeth in his 2nd race of 1985 for the Squire Shop Britannia, 2nd place last week in Tri-Cities. And Steve Reynolds aboard the Miss 711, a winner in Madison, Indiana in 1985. And a final glance at the boats coming up in Heat 1A, the Miss 711 at almost 140 miles per hour, the Squire Shop Britannia, the Budweiser, Cellular One, and Domino's. 10 seconds before the start of Heat 1A. They cannot cross the starting line before the clock expires. There's the 7-Eleven and Steve Reynolds. There's the gun. There's the starting line. Good start. 7-Eleven all alone. Lane number 4, as you see from high above the south turn here in Seattle, Washington. Steve Reynolds in the turbine-powered Miss 7-Eleven. Around the south turn, going down the back chute. 2.5-mile course, 6 laps. This is the Gold Cup, so they don't go just 5 laps, but 6, and they will go an additional heat before they get to the final late this afternoon. Second place, Tom DeHeath and the Squire Shop Britannia. Coming into that north turn, it has been very bumpy up here during testing in the morning. The water has calmed down considerably, but it's still a little nasty as we watch Steve Reynolds coming into that turn. Hear the whining of that turbine engine. Reynolds, who picked up a victory in Madison earlier this summer. In a dead heat right now with a Miller-American and Chip Hanauer for national points in second place behind Executone Telephone. There's the lead, the perspective. 7-Eleven on the bottom of your screen. The Squire Shop Britannia in second place, completing lap number 1. Speed for the Miss 7-Eleven, 127.2 miles per hour. Very respectable on this choppy water on Lake Washington. Reynolds in first, going down the back chute for the second time. We're in Heat 1A. Here's the Budweiser moving up into third place, challenging the Cellular One and Todd Yarling. Yarling with the inside position, however. Yarling with the Allison supercharged engine going against the Griffin engine of the Miss Budweiser. Yeah, the Buds had problems this year, but they're still trying to work out the kinks, get the gremlins out of that new boat. Oh, look at the 7-Eleven jumping up into the air. That is one of the most stable boats in hydroplane racing, so that gives you some idea how treacherous it is in the north turn here in Heat 1A. The 7-Eleven, Steve Reynolds. It's amazing the boat is still in one piece. The Squire Shop Britannia, pretty rocky for Tom DeHeath as well. The Budweiser on the outside coming into that turn. On the right of your screen, Cellular One and Todd Yarling out of Madison, Indiana. 2 of the drivers who are not from Seattle. Just about everybody else is racing in their backyard. Crockfeld out of Cincinnati, Ohio. This is George Johnson in the Domino's Pizza. George making his debut in 1985, driving that boat for the first time. Budweiser still challenging Todd Yarling, trying to move into third place. 7-Eleven and Steve Reynolds out of Kirkland, Washington. His wife, Linda Reynolds, watching on from the docks. Tommy DeHeath out of Detroit, driving the Seattle-based Squire Shop Britannia. In its second race, Tommy picking up a second place in the Columbia Cup, the Budweiser Columbia Cup last week over in Tri-Cities, Washington, at the opposite end of the state of Washington. Look at this battle between Todd Yarling and Jim Crockfeld. A great battle between the Bud on the outside and Cellular One on the inside. Jim Crockfeld with a little bit more acceleration now as they go down that rocky back chute where the waves come off of that log boom, and it can get pretty treacherous there as well as in the north turn where Steve Reynolds is just coming out of and heading down the main chute. Second place again, Tom DeHeath and the Squire Shop with those Merlin engines rumbling away. The Budweiser now into sole possession of third place. As Todd Yarling is dropped back a bit, Jim Crockfeld in that enclosed cockpit. Steve Reynolds going into that south turn. You can see his head bouncing around quite a bit. It gives you some idea how choppy it is. He is strapped in with that 5-point belt system. Second place, Tom DeHeath. He is not strapped in, doesn't believe in that kind of system anyway. He would rather be sitting in there and holding himself in. But here comes Steve Reynolds now, completing lap number 6, and he will pick up 400 points as the winner of Heat 1A in Seattle. So on a day when points are so important, the 7-Eleven picks up 400, but we understand that that boat has incurred some damage, not only to the tail, but the right sponsor. Let's go down to the pits and find out what happened.
All right, we'll try to find out right now, Don, what happened to the 7-Eleven. Notice that the vertical fin is all cracked up. What happened out there, Steve?
It's the water, Jim. It's incredibly rough. This is the most treacherous course I've been on in 6 years. It doesn't matter where you are, what speed you are, 170 or 130. Look at the sponson. That is nothing but water that did that. And I never went over 160 miles an hour ever.
Can you get it repaired in time?
I don't know. I've just viewed that damage for the first time. It looks like it'll be real close.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of trouble for 7-Eleven, Don. Back to you.
Crew Chief Danny Walters getting his first look at the damage as well, the remains of that right sponson, and it is indeed serious. And it's no wonder. Look at the boat coming around the north turn. The right sponson, 4 feet into the air, and it comes down as the wave is coming up. It's a miracle the right sponson is still there. The 7-Eleven in trouble. We'll return to Seattle in just a moment. Don Poyer along with Jim Henrik. Welcome back to the shores of Lake Washington. You see the boats heading out now for Heat 1B. This is Mitch Evans and the Miss Rock KISW. In the background, American Speedy Printing. Andy Coker going out. There's Executive Telephones with Scotty Pierce, the national point leader. And as the boats head out for the course, here are the drivers, Jerry Hopp and the Oboyoberto. Andy Coker out of Florida in the American Speedy Printing, the only conventional boat to be driving behind the motor. Mitch Evans out of Lake Chelan, Washington, driving the Miss Rock KISW. Joining the group, Scotty Pierce, as I said, on top of the mountain in national points for 1985. Only a 200-point lead. And Chip Hanauer, the top qualifier, aboard the Miller American. Very quickly looking at the qualifying speeds. Again, Miller American at 140. Executone Telephones, the Miss Rock, American Speedy, and Oboyoberto. Interesting shot. Very nice shot from our helicopter camera. You see the boats maintaining their lanes and getting ready for the start. We're under 10 seconds, down to 6 seconds. American Speedy Printing a little too fast. Andy Coker slowing down. Here comes Scotty Pierce, 1 second. All the boats very safe for the start of Heat 1B. Here they come into the south turn. The turbine-powered Miller American from about lane number 3, scooting out in front of everybody as he goes around the apex buoy and heads for the backstretch. Lane number 3, it's Miller American in first place. Executone Telephones in second place, going down the back straightaway along the log boom. Chip Hanauer out of Seattle, first place. Here comes Hanauer now into the north turn. The water here still very bad. This boat sometimes almost appears immune to rough water. A Jim Lucero designed boat. He is the team manager, co-owner of this boat. And it runs beautifully. A Seattle-based hydroplane in second place. Here comes Executone Telephones down the main straightaway now, completing lap number 1. Speed for the lead boats as you see the Oboyoberto, the Miller American at 119.7 miles per hour. The Miss Rock KISW, Mitch Evans, dead in the water. Here's some of the Miller American crew. John Love on the right. Tiffany Bangs was watching as well. An adopted team member, you might say. Here's the Executone Telephones crew. Their boat is in second place with Scotty Pierce. His speed for lap number 1, 106 miles per hour. Andy Coker and the conventional boat, the American Speedy Printing, the last boat on the circuit now that still has the engine in front of the driver. Again, on the second lap is Chip Hanauer out of Seattle coming around that north turn. The boat riding absolutely beautifully. The big air scoop above Chip's head as well as on the sides to handle that Lycoming 11. It's a huge engine with 4,000 horsepower. This is a piston engine powered Executone Telephones. American Speedy Printing and Andy Coker, an Allison engine out of a P-51 Mustang fighter. And this again, Jerry Hopp and the Oboyoberto. Third place, American Speedy Printing. Back to the leader on lap number 3, going down the back chute. You see all the pleasure cruisers out there, 3,000 to 4,000 boats out there. Who knows how many people. Just a wonderful day to celebrate hydroplane racing here on Lake Washington. Executone Telephones walking back and forth on those sponsons going down the very tough rollers along the back chute. They'll bounce off the log boom, come back onto the course, and they're parallel with the direction of the boats, which can really drive the boats and the drivers crazy trying to maintain high speeds and still battle those waves. Chip Hanauer, no problem for that boat right now. There's the builder and the co-owner, Jim Lucero, with a binocular studying the attitude of that boat as it goes down the back chute. He also built this boat, as a matter of fact. Executone Telephones, owned by Bill Worcester out of Seattle. American Speedy Printing looks like he's got a challenge right now by the Oboyoberto. No, it's Chip Hanauer in the Miller American about to lap Andy Coker. The Miller American had trouble with its engines earlier during testing this week. In fact, they blew up one of their Lycoming engines. They had to take the boat back to the shop down in nearby Kent, Washington, about 20 miles south of here. They repaired the boat in time. No serious structural damage. They got it back. They qualified on Friday, and they were back in ready to go racing. Chip Hanauer hoping to pick up a 4th straight Gold Cup today. That will take place in the final if he can make it. He would pick up 400 points with a victory here and would be well on his way to that final. Nobody has ever won in modern history more than 3 Gold Cups in a row. Chip Hanauer has done it. Bill Muncy did it back in his racing years. But he would be the first in modern times to win 4 straight Gold Cups. He's got a great shot at it today as he comes around the north turn for the final time in Heat 1B. The winner, 400 points in 1B, the Miller American, Chip Hanauer. And again, looking at the numbers, Miller American with those 400 big ones. Executone Telephone's in good shape. Keep in mind, they're all trying to get into the top 6 area and make the final. Let's go down to the pits and talk with Chip. Well, Chip, I suppose like a football player, you get rid of the butterflies after the first good shot. I would imagine you got a few out there on that rough water.
Yeah, it's horribly rough, and I had to run pretty quick to keep the boat nice and aired out so I wouldn't beat it up so bad. We saw what happened to 7-Eleven. We really didn't want that to happen to us.
So the thinking is much like Detroit, go fast enough to stay over the bumps.
Yeah, it's even, I think, harder here than Detroit. The frequency, meaning the duration of the waves are different, and it really beats everything up.
Meanwhile, members from virtually every boat camp are down at the 7-Eleven helping out. You can see them cutting strips of wood. They'll go on the bottom of the sponson. They're called battens. A lot of people helping out. Let's see if they can make the second flight. You've seen the cliff divers of Acapulco. Well, these are the bridge divers of Seattle. And boy, are they going to get in trouble if they live through it. We'll return to Lake Washington. Oh, my goodness. In just a moment. Back to Lake Washington. One of our new boat sponsors, Domino's Pizza. Gee, looks like they're making a delivery. What a bunch of ham.
All right. Okay. Get an order? Take it out the log boom. Pass it around. And get a big tip because it costs a lot to run out there. And make sure it's in 30 minutes, okay? Give them that pizza there.
All right, let's take a look at the rundown of Heat 2A. Here are the boats. Miller American, Miss Budweiser, American Speedy Printing, Boy Alberto, and Domino's Pizza making another delivery. Whoops, but not today. George Johnson, driver of Domino's Pizza, is already out of the cockpit. They couldn't get the engine started. So looking very briefly at Heat 2A, 4 of the 5 boats started, and somewhat as expected, the Miller American jumped out to an early lead with Chip Hanauer, averaging better than 118 miles per hour. They got the victory, Budweiser second. Here are the points now. Miller American, a perfect day so far. Second place to the Budweiser, then Boy Alberto, American Speedy Printing, Domino's Pizza, unable to start. Looking at Heat 2B, the 7-Eleven chose to sit out this dance to repair the right spots, and Squire Shop Britannia went on to get the victory. As you see the rest of the boats in this particular heat. The Squire Shop with Tom Deeth went on to get the win. Executone Telephones broke down, did not finish. So after 2 full flights of racing, Miller American, a perfect day. Squire Shop Britannia at 700 points, the Miss Budweiser. You have 7 boats fighting for the top 6 spots, and the boat conspicuous by its absence, the national point leader, Executone Telephones, after breaking down in Heat 2B. Some of the 200,000 people here enjoying the biggest party in the Northwest, and one of our cameras is right in the middle of it. We'll be right back. American Speedy Printing driver Andy Coker seems to have life by the tail, but a lot of work going on elsewhere. Executone broke down after 2B. They've got problems. Danny, just keep working, but is it just strictly an engine change?
Pardon me?
Strictly an engine change?
Well, yeah, we've got some kind of a problem here, Don. We haven't been able to find it, so we get this engine in, then we're going to get after the systems.
Across the pits, look at this. Bernie Little, owner of the Budweiser, helping out the 7-Eleven crew, trying to get that right sponson repaired. Still, that huge hole is got to be patched up. Looking at the draw for Heat 3A, none of the turbines are in this heat. It'll be a good battle with the Squire, the Bud, and Executone. Looking at Heat 3B, good news, bad news, 7-Eleven more time to get ready, but they've got to go against the Miller American. And again, from our helicopter camera, you can see the boats, all 5 of them, finding their lanes, getting ready to come down for the start of Heat 3A. The Squire Shop Britannia, Tom Deeth, Todd Garling, Cellular 1 in lane number 1. Here we go. It's a good start. All the boats are safe as they go down to the south turn. Again from high above, it's the Budweiser and Jim Krupfeld in lane number 1 out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Lane number 2 is Executone Telephones. And in lane number 4, moving inside to about lane number 3, is Tom DeHeath in the Squire Shop Britannia. What a beautiful turn as all 3 boats go around the south turn. The Budweiser with a brand new boat. A winner in Syracuse, New York, with Krupfeld at the wheel, holding on to first place. But here comes the Executone Telephones, the national point leader. Scotty Pierce moving into first place down the back chute. All 3 boats, Squire Shop, Britannia on the way outside. Now coming into that testy north turn. First there, Executone Telephones from our camera inside the north turn. What a shot. Second place, the Budweiser in lane number 1 on the way outside. Tom DeHeath out of Detroit, Michigan, driving the Squire Shop Britannia. Scotty Pierce, looks like they got their engine problems taken care of. There he goes, completing lap number 1. Squire Shop Britannia moving up to second place now on the outside as the Budweiser is falling back a bit. Speed on lap number 1, 123.8 miles per hour for the Executone Telephone. Scott Pierce, he has only 300 points for the day. He needs a win very badly here in Heat 3A to get into the final. That would give him 700 for the day. That would put him in pretty good shape to make the top 6 and a run for the Gold Cup. Executone Telephones in its second year with this particular boat. Scott Pierce, the driver, in his first year with this boat. In first place, heading down the back chute. Second place, Squire Shop Britannia. Again into that tough north turn where the breakers come back off the log boom, right back into the turn and right into the traffic. Beautiful shot as Executone Telephone comes down the main chute again. Second place again, Tom DeHeath and the Squire Shop Britannia. Third place, Jim Krupfeld, the 1984 National Points Champion, driving that new boat, trying to work out the gremlins, and you know they will be competitive. It's just a matter of time. Executone Telephone crew watching. This is a local television station here in Seattle broadcasting the race, and this is the Squire Shop Britannia crew watching the race from inside their own truck. Well, why not? There's their boat. Back in the back chute, Tom DeHeath giving chase to Scotty Pierce. Scott out of Seattle and a driver from Detroit. Tom DeHeath and the Squire Shop Britannia giving chase. Good old Detroit-Seattle rivalry. Reborn. More of the Executone crew discounting laps now. Average speed for the Executone, 120 miles per hour. Fourth place, Cellular One and Todd Yarling. If they can hold on to fourth, they've got a great shot at making the top 6. Executone Telephone, though, is in first place. Scotty Pierce driving a whale of a good race. Whatever their problem was earlier, they seem to have ironed it out. I know the crew worked a couple of all-nighters trying to get the engines tuned back in. They broke a number of them in the past couple of weeks. The Budweiser, third place. That should put Krupfeld and company into the final with no problem at all. Todd Yarling out of Madison, Indiana. Jim Sedam, the owner of this boat out of Madison. Some wonderful people, and I'm sure a popular racer with the fans, hoping to get into the final. Look at the Executone riding on that skid fin as it comes around again, that testy north turn. But more importantly, Scotty Pierce will pick up 400 points, 700 for the day. He should be in the final and the run for the Gold Cup later today. So looking at the numbers, Executone Telephone's on top of the heap. Squire Shop Britannia, great day with 1,000 points. The Budweiser should be all right for the final. Moving on down the line. We understand, by the way, the Executone Telephones broke down coming back into the pits.
Let's find out now. Big excitement down here, Don, right now. Let's talk to the driver. Scott, 123, 123, 124. Did you run out of gas?
Yes, I ran out of gas when I went by the finish line. They gave me the checkered, but I was lapping Mitch Evans, and I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I jumped. I thought I'd read legal on our Executone clock, but I wasn't positive. I couldn't afford to take any chances, so I made an extra lap. And as you can see, if I do jump the gun, I won't complete the heat.
Over at the Cellular One camp, driver Todd Yarling's fans think he made the final. Could very well be, has quite a few points. The Battle of the Turbines is next. Welcome back to Seattle. The Miller American heading out now for Heat 3B in its first encounter with the 7-Eleven. Look at this, Larry Gillespie from the Tempest crew getting the rope unwound from the propeller on the 711. Steve Reynolds waiting in the cockpit. Off he goes and is ready to meet the Miller and Company. Now keep in mind, the key here for the 711 is to get at least a second place, which would be 300 points. They'd have 700 for the day and should make it into the final. So keep an eye on the two turbines. All 5 boats running on the 2.5-mile course. The 711 with Steve Reynolds. He is in lane number 1. Good position, right where he wants to be. The gun is sounded, and he's got the lead going across the starting line. In lane number 1 is the 711. In lane number 4 is the Miller American coming out all the way from lane 4, cutting down to lane number 2 as he has the acceleration and is able to do so. If you have a 5-boat lead, you can cut down the lanes into where you want to go, and in this case, lane number 2. And Steve Reynolds with a fabulous start as he goes down the back chute in first place, but he knows on his outside hip, back there someplace, there he is the Miller American at Chip Hanauer. The Miller American, the 711 here in first place. Reynolds knows that he's giving up about 1,000 horsepower to the Miller American and the Lycoming 11 turbine engine. Reynolds in first place. There you see from the camera mounted aboard the 711, you see what Steve Reynolds sees as he's coming down the main straightaway. Beautiful shot, the left sponson bouncing along, the spray coming up over the camera. The Miller American moving in a little bit closer now as they come into the south turn for the second time. Lap speed for lap number 1, 127 miles per hour for the 711, 124 for the Miller American. These 2 boats running away from the other 3. 711, Reynolds still going down the back chute in first place. He knows that Chip Hanauer is back there. And what kind of a game is Chip Hanauer playing? We don't know. As I said, he has 1,000 horsepower more than the 711, and he may just be studying his competition, getting ready for the final coming up in the next heat. But the key again for the 711 here, even though Reynolds is in first place, is to get at least a second place finish. Get 300 points, have 700 for the day, and go into the final, run for the gold against the man on his outside hip right now, the Miller American and Chip Hanauer. The battle for second and check that, third and fourth on the outside. Oh boy, Alberto, Jerry Hopp out of the Northwest. And on the inside, I believe it's American Speedy Printing. Yes, it is, with Andy Coker. The Domino's Pizza with George Johnson dead in the water. His day is done with 127 points. But Reynolds still holding on to first place as Chip Hanauer comes around the outside. And you can see there he is moving up against Reynolds as they go down the rather quiet waters now of the back chute. They may be quiet, but Reynolds is still getting a lot of air under that boat. Look at that right spot and fly up into the air again. The Miller American challenging Reynolds now as they go into the north turn. We know how ornery it has been up there. The water very bad, but Reynolds still hugging those buoys, coming around the north turn. And here they come for the straightaway. Reynolds still holding on, but here comes Hanauer. Miller American moving into first place. Speed for the Miller American, 132 miles per hour. He had to break 130 to get past the 711. Reynolds at 128 miles per hour. Back to the Aboy Alberto on the left. American Speedy Printing on the right. The battle for third and fourth place. And of course, points trying to get into that final. Miller American moving into first place. I would not be surprised as you see Steve Reynolds again kissing those buoys. And you see it from Reynolds' eyes that he'll be happy to get at least that second place. Get the points, get into the final, then put in the larger Lycoming engine, and he will be equal in horsepower with the Miller American. 711, Reynolds in second place out of Kirkland, Washington. He used to sit in his home on Mercer Island overlooking this course as a child, open up the living room doors, watch it on television, and dream of being a hydroplane driver. But right now, he's in the thick of it. He's in second place in Heat 3B, and they're coming down the main straightaway for the final time. The Miller American and Chip Hanauer. So far, a perfect day. 400 points for Heat 3B. Second place, 711, 300 points, and he'll make the final. So this battle goes to the Miller American, but the war is not yet over. They will meet again in the final. Aboy Alberto, American Speedy Printing, and Domino's Pizza. Those are how the 5 finished. Let's go to the pits.
Chip Hanauer, your first cavitation now with the other turbine, the 711. Did you learn anything?
Not really. We wanted to make just a real clean start, and actually we were going to be satisfied to finish second. We didn't want to hurt anything, and I just kind of followed him for a while and saw, if I could catch him fairly easily. And it wasn't too hard, so I just kind of took my time, and but I'm sure they'll go back to the big motor now, and they'll be tougher in the final.
How much time we got?
About an hour.
About an hour? Excellent.
That's Fred Doobie, a hydroplane builder years ago back in Detroit. Look at Bernie Little still helping the 7-Eleven crew, trying to make sure that everything's all right with that right sponson. Looks like it's okay. We'll return with a Champ Boat Series update after this. Whenever the Unlimited Hydroplane Racing production team is in Seattle, it always stays at the beautiful Edgewater Inn on the shores of Elliott Bay. The Blue Angels are a major part of hydroplane racing every year in Seattle. While we're here, let's go overseas for another update on the Champ Boats.
15 of the world's top tunnel boat drivers met to compete at one of the most unusual race courses on the world circuit. At 6,000 feet above sea level, the 1 2/3 mile course at Lochval, South Africa poses some unique problems for the drivers and their engines. The high altitude causes a 20% drop in engine power, a problem never faced on other courses. The drivers were allowed 3 days, twice as much time as normally allowed for testing, to acquaint themselves with the site and to prepare for the unusual and difficult turns. The course has 4 turns in all, with the long right-handed one being the most difficult. As the boat approaches this turn, it pushes against the normal force of gravity. This causes enormous physical strain on the driver. Because of the reduction in engine power, the boats tend to bounce on the waves rather than skim over them. Each driver wears a back support to cushion his head and neck from rocking around inside the cockpit. Skillful drivers from all over the world came to challenge this demanding course. The United States fielded several drivers, among them 33-year-old John Nichols. John is third in World Championship points, and his Mercury-powered hull did well in testing. Germany was well represented by 39-year-old ex-world champion Michael Werner. Great Britain had the most drivers represented, including current British champ Steve Curtin. And Tony Williams, former world champion who turned in an excellent practice time, and the man to watch, his fellow countryman, Mark Wilson. But the excitement of the day was generated mostly by this man, 51-year-old John Hill, Britain's world racing champion. As Heat 1 began, Hill sprang into the lead, with the other boats struggling behind. John Nichols of the U.S. and Michael Werner put on quite a show in their battle for second place. At one point, Nichols was forced into the reeds at the right-hand turn, but managed to maintain his heat position.
There is John Nichols. Nichols is being forced close into that right-hand turn by Michael Werner. And Nichols has gone straight through the corner, through the weeds. He's come out of it. This is incredible. He's come out of the other side, covered in rushes. And he's still maintained his third position.
John Hill once again held pole position at the start of Heat 2, but this time Mark Wilson jumped into the lead and held it as Hill, refusing to give up, pushed his boat to the limit, bouncing around on the unstable water. As the boats lined up for the final heat, it was anybody's match. The chief mechanic of each team, trying to gain maximum acceleration on takeoff, lifted his boat engine so the prop was just below the surface of the water. Wilson again took the lead, but Hill, showing the stuff of which champions are made, pushed his way through the pack and relentlessly challenged Williams for second place. At the end, using a third driver for a foil, Hill passed Williams to take second in the heat and total points overall. The final standings reflected Hill's determination, with Wilson taking second and John Nichols making an excellent showing in third.
Back here in Seattle, the field is now set for the APBA Budweiser Gold Cup Final. The Miller American, the Squire Shop Britannia, the Miss Budweiser, the Miss 7-Eleven, Executone Telephones, and Cellular One. The final coming up.
Getting a rub down, boss? What's that?
Getting a rub down?
Yeah, I got the best guy in the world for it, the world 250 motocross champion. So if anybody knows about being tense, I guess he does.
I would imagine the adrenaline's flowing right now. A chance to set some history, Chip.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. I just want to, go do my best and live with the result.
But knowing you're probably applying more pressure on yourself than the pressure that exists.
Well, I put a lot of pressure on myself, but this time there has been some pressure. There's been, so much attention and everything. But I feel ready. I just got to do my best. And
I know you want to be alone, so I'll let you go.
Thanks, Tom.
And over at the 7-Eleven camp, the L11, the 4,000 horsepower engine affectionately known as Big Wally, going into the 7-Eleven boat. What about Steve Reynolds? How does he feel about the final? You know what the Gold Cup means to you. We all know what it means. I would imagine the adrenaline is a little extra right now.
I'm surprising myself. I'm really remarkably calm. I think the crew is using up all the adrenaline we've got. The guys have worked awful hard today. Win, lose, or draw, it's a credit to the 7-Eleven crew.
At the Squire Shop camp, where they have earned 1,000 points today already, they're installing extra nitrous bottles for better acceleration for driver Tommy Deeth. I mean, you've won a Gold Cup before. You know how special it is. A little extra adrenaline for this final heat for a Gold Cup.
Well, a little extra mental preparation, that's for sure. We've got, with the Miller American and the 7-Eleven, 2 rocket ships out there. I've got to do something to outfox them. I'm going to try and suck them up in the hole there and then leave them hanging out to dry and go for it.
So after a long day of racing, it comes down to these 6 men. Todd Yarling in the Cellular One, finished in 3rd place 1 week ago. Scotty Pierce and Executone Telephones, a great comeback in Heat 3A, winning it, enabling him to move into the final. Steve Reynolds, he has not raced since the first flight, but he got enough points after taking 2nd in Heat 3B. Jim Kropfeld and the Miss Budweiser, moving into the final with better than 600 points. Tom Deeth and the Squire Shop Britannia, a 2nd in the Columbia Cup last week, hopes to do better this time. And finally, Chip Hanauer, the man trying to make history in this final. Points mean nothing now as the boats head down the main straightaway for the start of the final, the 77th running of the Gold Cup. We're under 5 seconds for the start. The 7-Eleven, the Budweiser, Executone, all 3 together at the start. On the way outside is the Miller American. Chip Hanauer trying to make some history, trying to be the first man in modern history to win 4 straight Gold Cups. But right now in lane number 1 is the 7-Eleven. In lane number 2, the Budweiser. Lane 3, Executone Telephones. This is Steve Reynolds going into the entrance buoy. Heading into that south turn. He has first place. Let's see if he can hold on to it now as he goes into the back chute. Reynolds and the 7-Eleven holding on to first. Steve Reynolds trying to run away from the Miller American and Chip Hanauer. He now has the larger engine in there. There's Hanauer on his outside shoulder. It's the 2 turbines, the 7-Eleven against the Miller going into the north turn. Steve Reynolds trying to break that string set by Chip Hanauer, who has already won 3 straight Gold Cups, winning last year in the Tri-Cities area. Chip Hanauer coming around, the 7-Eleven is going dead in the water. Steve Reynolds' day is over in the north turn. Mechanical problems for the 7-Eleven. What a heartbreak for Steve Woomer, the owner, Steve Reynolds, the driver. The Budweiser and Jim Kropfeld is also coming to rest in the back chute here in Seattle. The attrition rate going sky high suddenly here in the final. So now, Chip Hanauer, with his destiny really in his own hands, in first place. Executone Telephones in second place in the final for the Budweiser Gold Cup. Third place belongs to Todd Yarling in the Cellular One. Chip Hanauer now going down the back chute. As you see Steve Reynolds walking along the deck of the 7-Eleven in the foreground. He is finished. He'll have to watch the rest of the race from the north turn. Executone Telephone with Scotty Pierce in second place. But Hanauer, who ran the first lap at 127 miles per hour, is now in his second. The 7-Eleven crew, they've got to be disappointed. Nancy Saddam, the wife of the owner of the Cellular One, cheering on Todd Yarling. There's their boat, currently in third place. What a great finish that would be for that boat. The engine inside that boat right now, affectionately called Edna. Reliable Edna. But in first place with that Lycoming 11 engine, 4,000 horsepower in a very, very light boat, a light engine. The Miller American, Chip Hanauer, who grew up here near Lake Washington, would love to win in Seattle as well as set history winning his 4th straight Gold Cup. In second place, Executive Telephone Cellular 1. Todd Garling in third place. It would be like a victory to Cellular 1 if they could get a third here in the prestigious Gold Cup. But Chip Hanauer, you heard the story. He began racing back when he was 12 years old, as you see the cool ones being set out for the anticipated celebration for the Miller American if they should win the Gold Cup here in Seattle. But Chip began racing as a youngster in the J-Class outboard hydros, taking 5th nationally in his first year of competition. He's been inducted into the APBA Hall of Champions, that taking place back in 1983. Chip Hanauer really becoming one of the main figures of unlimited hydroplane racing. Chip Hanauer about to set history, about to put his name in the record books, the Miller American winning the 1985 Gold Cup. Chip Hanauer, a winner in Seattle. So Miller American, look at the numbers. 4 starts, 4 first-place finishes. On the other hand, 3 boats failed to finish. The 7-Eleven, the Squire Shop Britannia, and the Budweiser. On to the winner's circle and Chip Hanauer. Modern history, my man. You did it. Congratulations, Chip.
I can't describe it. I thought we were going to have a really good boat race, and then I think they broke a coupler or something again. And
how does it feel, though? You're on the same plane with people like guys above Garwood, practically.
I don't feel like that. I'm just glad it's over. It's been a real hard year, you know, knowing this was coming up, and there was so much pressure. I'd like to say hello to my grandmother and everybody at the Madison House, and my father and my brother who helped me get here. And there's so many people that let me do this that I'm really undeserving, and I just feel really privileged.
Don't worry. For the folks at home, that's victory number 17 for you. We're going to get it right this week. You did it. Congratulations again.
Thank you. These guys did it. It was the best piece out there, and there's no doubt about it.
Nice going.
Thanks.
The Miller American has not only overtaken Executone for national points, but Chip Hanauer also set a Gold Cup record average speed for the day, 120.7 miles per hour, breaking the old record by almost 8 miles per hour. You see the rest of the boats along the points race. Moving to the second 5, Cellular 1, Squire Britannia, Miss Rock, Kenny Toyota, and Domino's Pizza. So the 1985 APBA Budweiser Gold Cup is history, and history indeed has been made by Chip Hanauer winning 4 straight.
And I think what's more important is the fact that the Turbans have now said, hey, we're here to stay. The others better catch up or get out.
Absolutely. We should mention that Chip not only won the money and won the beautiful Gold Cup, but he also won a $5,000 Citizens Gold watch. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yes, and I collect watches. I'd love to have it. I'll make a deal with Chip.
As far as the circuit in 1985, we have a couple of weeks off, and then we move to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. First time we've been there.
Yes, and we'll have more on ESPN at that time.
Okay, for Jim Hendrick, I'm Don Poyer. Thanks for joining us, and so long from Seattle.
Air transportation provided by Continental Airlines, the official carriers of unlimited hydroplane racing. A promotional fee has been paid by Hertz Penske Truck Rentals. Scuba diving equipment is provided by Nemrod, the official suppliers of the Unlimited Racing Commission. The Budweiser APBA Gold Cup Unlimited Hydroplane Race has been brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. And by the new Napa Advantage muffler. It puts rust at a disadvantage. Keep up to date with the unlimited hydroplanes by calling the Hydro Hotline at 1-900-410-5500. If you'd like a VHS video cassette of this program, send a check or money order for $19.95 to the Unlimited Racing Commission, 901 Occidental South, Seattle, Washington, 98134.